to you all. And if you guys are joining us live, then I want you to join in the conversation as well. So share your thoughts, share any questions that you have, because we're here today to be able to answer those, but also to go over the 3 of many reasons why your dental practice needs HR, because it's a business strategy for success. So we want to be on here today to debunk any HR myths that are out there. And Isabel and I, we've heard it all before. We've heard it that HR is just a handbook, or, I don't really need it. It's just hiring or firing, or, you know what, a handbook, it's not really that important. I'll just Google things, or I just tell my team what needs to happen or what our policies are. But let me tell you guys, HR is much more than just a handbook. And that's why we're here today. So I have Isabel here with us. She is one of our HR strategists in our US team. And thanks so much for being here with us today, Isabel, and walking us through the importance of HR. So let's start off by busting some of the HR myths out there. What are some of the things that you've heard people say about HR?
Well, Samantha, I think one of the most prevalent ones that I've heard is that HR is the bad guy. And I can see that from an outside perspective. A lot of people don't necessarily know what all HR entails. So they think, oh, it's hiring and firing, like you mentioned. And it's kind of like going into the principal's office, like when you were a kid. You don't want to go to the principal's office because you think you're in trouble. So it's not all about firing. It's not about, just going there because you're in trouble. It's so much more than that.
Definitely. And that's such a good analogy, because I know I was scared if I ever got the call to go to the principal's office. But when you think about like the principal's role, they were there to make sure that the school was operational, successful, kids are safe, they're getting the proper education, teachers are happy, they feel appreciated, heard, and safe. So it's a very, very important role in order for that school to be successful, and therefore the kids to be successful and their future to be successful. So it's really a big picture thing. So then, Isabel, let's really dive down a little bit deeper into what is HR really?
Well, human resources is an umbrella term. So there's so many things that are under that umbrella that I think people don't realize, or maybe they didn't know that actually was in there. So the term human resources is to describe the management and development of employees and in an organization. Hence, human. Human resources involves humans. So focusing on the people aspect of it is a huge part of it. And ultimately, it's all about increasing employee performance. Now, in reality, HR plays a key role in developing, reinforcing, changing the culture of an organization, and that goes all into different subsections of HR. So that can be recruiting and onboarding, managing payroll, performance management, training and development, employment law and compliance, which a lot of people didn't realize that's under HR. We do deal with a lot of compliance, state-specific laws, global, and then safety and compliance. So all of that and more goes into HR. Not only does that fall under the umbrella, but HR today plays a significant role in developing positive business culture and improving employee engagement and productivity, both which will lead your business into great success.
Yeah, I think you put it well in terms of all of the different areas that HR touches, but overall it's your human capital, right? And there's so many moving parts than just hiring and training them and then let them do their job and, say la vie type of thing. It's more of all of those pieces of how are we going to grow them, which then in turn they're going to help me grow my business. And we hear it so many times when clients, we're going through and we're walking through the HR that we've developed, and they say, I had no idea how much was involved in human resources, or like, I didn't know I had to take care of that, or this was a part of this. So there's just so many moving parts that are involved in HR. And, you touched on all of those pieces nicely. So now that we know what it entails, why is it important?
So I think one of the biggest things and one of the reasons that I think it's important, and from my experience working with our clients as, startups, or really anyone who's starting a business, doesn't have to be just in dental, is the rookie mistake is that small businesses just overlook HR. Now I always say, why is that? HR, if it was at the front, in any situation, whether it's like conversations about growing the business or hiring someone, you can avoid so many later issues if you just put HR first. So many entrepreneurs and business owners kind of just head start, do a flying start, and just grapple on the fact that the people management. And the people management is it's what's going to help your business grow and continue your, projections for the next year. Now, managing staff takes time and it requires skills. HR is an area of expertise that a lot of business owners lack. Now, for example, in dental, you go to school to be a dentist. You don't go to school to be a business owner. So there are a lot of skills that are not necessarily taught to you that you just need someone to kind of guide you and ensure you that you're doing the right thing the right way. Regardless of the skill, the value of HR in business isn't always immediately apparent because, if you have a small business, you have 10 employees, you can manage that. That shouldn't be a big issue. But as soon as the business grows, the value of HR and the leaders often just kind of dismiss it. And they're like, no, I'm okay. I can manage the day-to-day people management. I can do the recruiting. I can do the onboarding. But then the focus of the people and how you treat them and how they're treated and how they feel encouraged changes. And so having a comprehensive HR is huge in success for a business because you have to have the given mentality. I know this is something that we talked about in our meetings where it's like, if you have the given mentality, they're going to have that too. It's not about me, it's about us. And so providing that need and providing that encouragement to your team is crucial because if you don't, then everything just falls down. HR covers so much more than hiring and firing or pay reviews. It encompasses aspects of people management, communication, and it's a huge pivotal point in a positive work culture. And get HR right, then you have your work halfway done because then your business is just going to be flourishing from there.
Yeah, well said, well said. And I can definitely understand of these dentists, they're so busy. They're working with patients, they're trying to run a business, they're taking care of all the things on top of dealing with employee sick leave, time off, conducting interviews, training new team members, plus staying on top of all of the employment standard updates and then having to create the policies, the forms, and train their team. Like there's so many things that they have to juggle constantly. But then really when we don't have the systems in place to kind of take care of the HR and have it be a scalable solution, then these practice owners, they're actually spending so much more time that's taking away actually working on and money that they, on average, most practice owners, they find that they're spending about 5 hours per month per employee on HR tasks. Now I know it's Friday morning, but let's do a little bit of math right now. So if you spend 5 hours per employee on HR tasks, let's say you have 10 employees. Now that's 50 hours a month that's being spent on HR. And then if we take those 50 hours and we multiply it by how much a practice owner on average produces per hour, so let's say they're producing $500 an hour, times that by 50 hours, that's $25,000 of lost revenue each month because they're not focusing on the things that are actually going to grow their business, or they're not empowering their team members and giving them the tools that they need to grow and therefore grow their business. So then if we take that $25,000 and we times that by 12 months in a year, that's $300,000 a year.
That's a lot of money.
That's not sustainable to grow your business. And if your goal is to, take my business from where I am here to take it over there, then that means that you've got to do things a little bit differently, which means having a little bit more of a strategic HR process because that's a business function. So, exactly what you said in terms of all of those areas. So aside from them, losing money, spending time in unnecessary areas, is there anything else that if they don't have HR or if they do have HR in place, maybe just an employee handbook that's just copy and pasted from Mr. Google, or maybe provided from a friend of a friend and they just only have an employee handbook as their HR? Like what are the consequences if they don't have all of the other pieces that go along with it?
Well, that's a scary thought just to think of it. But essentially is going back into the human aspect of HR, right? You can't do everything yourself. You have to, train your team. You have to provide that guidance to them. So when employees don't feel supported, they aren't giving the right opportunities, they're working on long hours, and they're not motivated, that's going to impact your business, whether you want to admit it or not. So under delivering and providing this can have a huge effect on your business. So having an effective HR and providing that necessary support and resources needed, that's going to impact the team and it's going to push your business forward. People, culture, and business success go hand in hand. It's not just one over the other, because if you choose business, your people are not going to be there. So you're going to have to restart recruiting. So you're just going to literally be in a cycle of constant change, constant new people, constant everything. And that's not good for business because you're just spending time and money. And that's two things that you don't want to do. Now, that's one hand of it. The second part, reputation is key. Now, I know this is something that growing up, we've all heard, oh my God, your reputation is key. And it's true. And not in the sense of like, oh, it's a bad thing. But I think as an employer branding is huge. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, we have Glassdoor, we have all these different websites where you can provide, and candidates can really get a feedback on what it's like to work in a company. So if you have a specific brand that's not necessarily the best and you're known for doing something that's not good, then people are not going to want to work for you. Reputation as an employer is influential in attracting talent, like I mentioned, and it also impacts the customers. So an example that I wanted to use, which is something that we've seen in the news, is Uber. They've been plagued by a string of huge HR catastrophes, issues like sexual harassment cases, ignoring employee complaints, which in result, it ended in bad publicity and deterred a lot of people from doing and using their service. Whether it's Uber or if it's a specific product that you're providing or a service like a dental practice, if you're known for being rude, people are not going to want to go to you. So providing that necessary structure, making sure that you have a good employee branding, you have a good work culture, and it's not a place where it's there's not conflict. Having a hostile work environment is not going to be good for the business because people are going to be uncomfortable. They're not going to want to go to work, and it's just not a good fit. So there's one side of the spectrum in HR, which is, everything's good. You're encouraging your team. You're pushing them to be the best that they can. You're focusing on the human aspect, and that's great. And that's what we want to go for. We want to go into the new wave of HR, which is human. Mm-hmm. And then there's the other side, which is the me mentality. It's all about me. This is my business. I want to do this, and not focusing on the team. And that can really affect your reputation and deter you from getting new employees or getting customers or getting anything that's going to push you forward.
Yeah, agreed. And like you said, employer branding, that's key. It's crucial. And in our day and age right now, people utilize Google. They use and check out your social media pages. They check out your website. And that's what candidates are using to be able to select which employer that they want to, or job posting they want to apply to. So people are using the same decisions that they use to buy a product to use that for when it comes to finding a job. And so, like you said, it's crucial to make sure that you've got a good reputation, not only for finding great people, but also your patients can feel that when they come into the office. So if everybody loves their job and they believe about the practice, the results that they can provide, they're their brand ambassadors, and they are, they provide a different level of experience as opposed to an office where the culture is toxic. People are just there to clock in and clock out and do the bare minimum. Who's suffering? Ultimately, it's your patients, and then in turn, your business. And then, like Isabel mentioned, your team are going to leave, and then you're going to be spending more time trying to find people than actually working on your business. So I think our entire world not only has changed, but HR has changed. And so what do you think that means for practice owners today?
So as the workforce evolves, and of course, I think this year has kind of shown a lot with the workforce. A lot of things have changed because of COVID-19, but human resources departments are increasingly called upon to address a variety of issues. Things like organizational structure, conflict, systems, numerous other duties while adhering to a strict code of ethics. And as a current generation's near the ladder, so right now, I think out of pretty much a while, we have 5 or 4 different red generations in the workforce. Baby boomers, Generation X, millennials, and Generation Z. Now, professionals are forced to kind of mitigate the complications of an age gap, making sure that the different structures, the different generations are adhering to the code of the company, making sure that what a baby boomer thinks does not affect what a millennial thinks. And there's so many things that can be seen in the wrong or can be misunderstood because one way I can understand it, but someone can't, I think is a huge thing. Uh, Ultimately, everything's at our fingertips, everything's online. So giving, and like I mentioned before, the employer branding is huge. So knowing who you're working for, what you're providing, making sure that it's a good fit is crucial. And like I said, the new wave of HR is human. So HR is moving into the phase of focusing on the human aspect, on the employee engagement, on the employee encouragement, focusing on that, and everything else will kind of just go in hand. Because ultimately, if you push your team, you make it a safe haven for them to come and work and enjoy everything that they do, they feel passionate about it. Of course, people are going to go and they're going to feel welcome and they're going to love what they're doing, and nothing is going to be a bad situation in that case. So human resources moving forward is going to be human, and they're going to be focusing on the human aspect.
Yeah. No, I think there were so many great points that you brought out. And what you said is so true. Like, a practice may employ 5 different generations. And like you said, communication is different. And I think that's why HR has this bad rap, and it's so complex and it's misunderstood. And it's because HR is complex because people are complex. And HR is not just one size fits all. It's not an employee or a rule book is going to solve all of my problems. It's everything that you mentioned: the communication, employment standards, recruitment, training, health and safety, people management, employee engagement, recognition, risk management, so on and so forth. There's so many things that are involved in it. And that's hard for a business owner to really manage, especially since they're being a business owner and being a practitioner. And they went to school to be really great dentists and unfortunately not taught HR. So I really appreciate you walking through all of these great points for us and really seeing how important HR is. And it's really a business function. And how really, if we want to take our business and go from here to there, then we really need to do things differently. So really focusing on the HR aspect. And, if you guys want some more information to be able to see how you can have more effective HR solutions for your business and make it thrive, then comment below. And I'm actually going to email you a dental HR checkup ebook where it walks you through even evaluating your own and giving yourself your own health checkup for your HR and seeing what's missing, what do I need to improve on, so I'm hiring the best, I'm keeping the best team, I'm engaging them, and then mitigating any risks in the future. So if you want that, make sure to message us or comment below, so in that way we can give you access to that ebook. But thanks for tuning in, and thanks again, Isabel, for those great points. So make sure to tune in next Friday, as we're going to have our comedian Carlos Rodriguez back on with us to be able to bring some laughter and joy for us as we end the week off next weekend. So thanks for joining, guys. Have a great